गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद शतर शतश्मद श्री भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद शतर शतश्मद श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद शतर शतश्मद श्री भक्ति विज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद शतर शतश्मद श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु महाभागवत श्री गोक्षरस बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल विश्व श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरी गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पद दास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर प्रसाद वृंद की जय। नाम चैतन्य रस ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल पौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुनि देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनेति नामिने। Sorry guys, I'm so stupid. नमो वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतं। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नयमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्ष्यै क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Dandavat pranams, Rupa Manjari Didi, Madhavi Didi, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji, Raseshri Mataji, Ganga Didi, Dandavat pranams to all of you. So, yesterday we began the description of the cosmology, and we began with I'm going to go over what we read yesterday. So, in the last verse of the first chapter of this fifth canto, Parikshit Maharaj heard about the islands and oceans created on Bhumandal by the impressions of Priyavrata's chariot. He now inquires about their dimensions. So, Parikshit Maharaj's inquiries about the details of Jambudvip. You have spoken about Bhumandal, which extends as far as the sun shines, and as far as the moon and stars can be seen. The rolling wheels of Priyavrata's chariot created 7 ditches in Bhumandal, which became 7 oceans, dividing it into 7 islands. Now I desire to know the measurements and qualities of those islands and of those oceans and islands. Parikshit now speaks of the result of such an inquiry. O Guru, when the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Lord's external feature, the gross universal form made of the modes, then it is brought to the platform of goodness, in which one can know Lord Vasudeva, who is beyond the modes. Therefore, please describe vividly that gross form, the structure of the universe. Note, here Parikshit asks the question not for himself, but at the request of Bhakti Mishra yogis present in the gathering, who desire to concentrate their minds. Parikshit's way of attaining the Lord on the other hand, is by drinking with his ears the honey of topics of the Lord flowing from Shukadeva Goswami's mouth. Jambudvip, its varshas, and Mount Sumeru. No one can possibly understand the end of the Lord's material energy, which is a transformation of the 3 modes, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. Yet I will try to describe the principal regions, such as Bhuloka, Bhumandal, with their names, forms, measurements, and characteristics. Bhumandal resembles a lotus flower, and its 7 islands resemble 7 circular coverings of a lotus. The middle island, known as Jambudvip, is round like a lotus leaf and measures, what's MY stand for? 0.6 MY in length and breadth. And I don't know what KY stands for either. Anyways, oh god, that's annoying. Should I look this up or does anybody know there? Okay, I'm just gonna look this up. MY and KY measurement. Okay, what unit is KY? It is 1,000 years. Whatever. Okay. In Jambudvip, there are 9 varshas, divisions of land, each with a length of 9 ky. Ilāvṛta-varṣa, Ketumala varshas. Ilāvṛta-varṣa and Ketumala varshas are exceptions, and are separated by 8 mountain ranges that mark their boundary. This picture is really bad, but okay, there's. Oh man, I need to get a better picture. There's the river Ganges, there's Sumeru mountain, Jambudvip, Ilāvṛta-varṣa. Oh, and there's waterfalls coming down from each of them. Okay. Ilāvṛta-varṣa is situated in the middle of Jambudvīpa. It's this little area around the Mount Sumeru, that square right there. This square. This part in the middle. Okay. It has Sumeru mountain, which is made of gold, as its pericarp. And Sumeru mountain is, its height is the same as the width of Jambudvīpa. That's its height, okay. And of that 16 ky, are within the earth, and 84 ky are above the earth. Its width is 32 ky, and its summit is 16 ky at its base. So it's smaller in the bottom, but it grows out bigger at the top. Okay, there, thanks. K equals 1,000, M is 1,000,000. So, okay, thanks. Cool. So 0.01 M is 100,000. 16 ky equals 16,000. Thanks. There's a more clear picture. So there's Ilāvṛta in the middle there. There's Mount Sumeru in the mountain. Mount Nila, okay. Okay, so that's 3 mountain ranges named Nila, Shweta, Shringavan mark the borders of Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, and Kuru Varshas. Where is Nila, Shweta? Okay, so there's Nila. Where's Shweta? And Shringavan. There's Shringavan and Shweta. Okay, so Nila, Shweta, Shringavan. That's the northern part. 3 mountain ranges named Nila, Shweta, and Shringavan mark the borders of Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, and Kuru Varshas. Okay, there's Ramyaka Varsha, Hiranmaya Varsha, and Kuru Varsha. 3 mountain ranges named Nishada, Hemakuta, and Himalaya mark the boundaries of Hari, Kimpurusha, and Bharat-varṣas. So there's Nishada, Hemakuta, Himalaya, and there's Bharat-varṣa, Kimpurusha Varsh, Hari Varsh, southern. Okay. Sorry. 1 second. Okay. Dimensions of the above. Here's the dimensions of the above mountain ranges. Width 200,000. Height 10,000. 2,000 and 10,000. Right. The length extends on the east and the west to the Salt Ocean, going northwards from Mount Nila. The length of each mountain is 10% shorter than that of the previous mountain. Okay. 2 mountain ranges named Malyavan and Gandhamadhan mark the boundaries of Ketumala and Bhadrashva-varṣas with Ilāvṛta-varṣa respectively. The width and height of these mountains are 2,000 and 10,000. Is it miles though? I'm so bad at this stuff. Anyways, lengthwise, they extend from Nila Mountain in the north to Nishada in the south. Prajumna is probably writing tons of comments right now. Note A. 2 varshas on the north, Kuru, and south, Bharat, are bow-shaped. 4 other varshas, Kimpurusha, Hari, Ramyaka, and Hiranmaya, are long, and Ilāvṛta is square. Bhadrashva and Ketumala are also shaped like bows, bordered by Nila and Nishada mountain ranges running horizontally and entering the sea. Note B. Ilāvṛta-varṣa is 9,000. Wait, of course it's not miles. Sorry. Anyways, I'm not good with this stuff. Ilāvṛta-varṣa is 9,000 ky in all four directions from Mount Sumeru, which has a base of width of 16,000. Varsha and Ketumala are 34 ky. Oh God. After describing the divisions of Jambudvip, each Varsha is explained in detail. Description of Ilāvṛta-varṣa and Mount Sumeru. All the details in this section are summarized in the table at the end and are depicted in figures 16, 11, verses 11 to 29. Should we just look at the figures? No, let's read this. Mandara, Meru Mandara, Suparshva, Kumura mountains are situated on its four sides like its belts. Okay, that's like right on these, right? This one, this one, this one, this one. Okay. The length and height of these mountains are 10 ky. There is a mango tree, a rose apple tree, a kadamba tree, and a banyan tree on the summits of these four mountains respectively, standing like flagstaffs. I'm going to skip all this stuff about their widths and heights. There are four huge lakes on these four mountains, filled with water tasting like milk, honey, sugarcane juice, and pure water respectively. Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas, naturally endowed with mystic yogic perfections, enjoy in those four lakes. There are also four celestial gardens named Nandan, Chaitrata, Vaibrajaka, and Sarvatobhadra. The best of demigods enjoy in those gardens with their wives, while their glories are sung by lesser demigods. When the huge nectarian mangoes fall from the top, they break, and the sweet, fragrant juice, mixing with other scents, flows out as the river Arunoda to the eastern side of Ilāvṛta-varṣa. Okay, here's a close-up. There's which one is this? Okay, Mount Mandara. Where is Mount Mandara? There it is. There's a Chitrata garden, the honey lake, and the jambu, the rose apple tree. And there's the... That's so cool though. The nectarian mango falls from the tree, drops, and makes a whole river. That's really awesome. Okay. Effect of drinking from the Arunoda river. When Bhavani's maidservants, the pious Yaksha women, drink the water of the Arunoda river, their bodies become fragrant, and it perfumes the entire atmosphere of 10 y around. Let me look at the comments really quick. I don't want to... Okay, the unit is yojanas. What equates a yojana with 8.2 miles? Okay, thanks. Okay, so 10 yojanas around. The elephant-sized fruits of the jambu tree fall and break, and their juice becomes the Jambu River. It flows for 10 ky on the southern side of Ilāvṛta-varṣa, flooding the entire land. The mud from the banks of the Jambu River, moistened by flowing juice and dried by air and sunshine, transforms into gold called Jambu Nada. The heavenly denizens use this to make ornaments to decorate their youthful wives. The Mahakadamba tree on Mount Suparshva, no, sorry. From that tree, from its hollows flow 5 rivers of honey, each 12 meters wide, that spread all over Ilāvṛta-varṣa on the western side, saturating the land with a pleasing fragrance. The air, carrying the scent from the mouths of those who drink that honey, perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around. Okay, so that's where we read up to yesterday. Now the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam banyan tree on Mount Kumuda. Okay, so we went through this mountain. Now where was the jumbo one? Okay, so we went through Meru Mandar. Now we're going to go through Mount Kumuda. Sorry, that was a long introduction and I had no clue what I was reading about. Evam Kumuda nirudo ya shatavalsho nama vatastasya skandevyo nichina payodadhi madhugrita gudanadhyambara shayanasana bharanadaya sarva eva kama dugha nadha kumudagrat patantastam Ilāvṛtam upayojayanti. If anybody wants this PDF that I'm reading from also, let me know and I can send it to you. There's charts in it and all that. Similarly, on Kumuda mountain there's a great banyan tree which is called Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam because it has 100 main branches. From those branches come many roots from which many rivers are flowing. These rivers flow down from the top of the mountain to the northern side of Ilāvṛta-varṣa for the benefit of those who live there. Because of these flowing rivers, all the people have ample supplies of milk, yogurt, honey, clarified butter, ghee, molasses, food grains, clothes, bedding, sitting places, and ornaments. All the objects they desire are sufficiently supplied for their prosperity, and therefore they are very happy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The prosperity of humanity does not depend on a demoniac civilization that has no culture and no knowledge, but has only gigantic skyscrapers and huge automobiles, always rushing down the highways. The products of nature are sufficient. When there is a profuse supply of milk, yogurt, honey, food grains, ghee, molasses, dhotis, saris, beddings, sitting places, and ornaments, the residents are actually opulent. When a profuse supply of water from the river inundates the land, all these things can be produced, and there will not be scarcity. This all depends, however, on the performance of sacrifice, as described in the Vedic literature. Anar bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anasambhava yagyar bhavati bharchanyo yagya karma samudbhava. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. These are the prescriptions given in Bhagavad Gita 3.14. If people follow these principles in full Krishna consciousness, human society will be prosperous, and they will be happy both in this life and in the next. 25. Yan upajushananam na kadachid api prajanam vali palita klama sveda dorgandhya jaramaya mritu shitoshna vaivarnyo pasargadayas tapa vishesha bhavanti yavaj jivam sukam niratishayam eva. The residents of the material world who enjoy the products of these flowing rivers have no wrinkles on their bodies and no gray hair. They never feel fatigue, and perspiration does not give their bodies a bad odor. They are not afflicted by old age, disease, or untimely death, and they do not suffer from chilly cold or scorching heat, nor do their bodies lose luster. They all live very happily without anxieties until death. Purport. This verse hints at the perfection of human society even within this material world. The miserable conditions of this material world can be corrected by a sufficient supply of milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, molasses, food grains, ornaments, bedding, sitting places, and so on. I like that. All their miserable conditions can be corrected just by milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, and molasses, and food grains. Ample food grains can be produced through agricultural enterprises, and profuse supplies of milk, yogurt, and ghee can be arranged through cow protection. Abundant honey can be obtained in the forest. Can be attained if the forests are protected. Unfortunately, in modern civilization, men are busy killing the cows that are the source of yogurt, milk, and ghee, and they are cutting down all the trees that supply honey, and they are opening factories to manufacture nuts, bolts, automobiles, and wine, instead of engaging in agriculture. How can the people be happy? They must suffer all the misery of materialism. Their bodies become wrinkled and gradually deteriorate until they become almost like dwarves, and a bad odor emanates from their bodies because of unclean perspiration resulting from eating all kinds of nasty things. This is not human civilization. If people actually want happiness in this life and want to prepare for the best in the next life, they must adopt a Vedic civilization. In a Vedic civilization, there is a full supply of all the necessities mentioned above. Kuranga Kurana Kusumba Vaikanka Trikuta Shishira Patanga Ruchaka Nishada Shinivasa Kapila Shanka Vaidurya Jarudhi Hamsa Rishabha Naga Kalanjara Naradadayo Vingshati Girayo Mero Karnikaya Eva Kesara Bhuta Mula Deshe Parita Upaklipta. There are other mountains beautifully arranged around the foot of Mount Meru, like the filaments around the whorl of a lotus flower. Their names are Kuranga, Kurara, Kusumbha, Vaikanka, Trikuta, Shishira, Patanga, Ruchaka, Nishada, Sinivasa, Kapila, Shanka, Vaidurya, Jarudhi, Hamsa, Rishabha, Naga, Kalanjara, and Narada. Okay, these are all different mountains. Let's just see. Does it have a picture of that? No, it doesn't. Anyways. Okay. Jatara Devakuto Merum Purvenashtadasha Yojana Sahasram Udagayato Dvisahasram Pritu Tungo Bhavanta Evam Aparena Pavana Pariyatro Dakshinena Kailasa Karaviro Prag Ayatav Evam Uttaratas Trishinga Makarav Ashtabir Etai Parishsritognir Eva Paritash Chakasti Kanchanagiri. On the eastern side of Sumeru mountain are two mountains named Jatara and Devakuta, which extends to the north and south for 18,000 yojanas, 144,000 miles. Similarly, on the western side of Sumeru are two mountains named Pavana and Pariyatra, which also extend north and south for the same distance. Let's see where that is. Jatara and Devakuta, and Sumeru and Pavana. Okay, so there's Devakuta and there's Jatara. And what were the other ones? Pavana and, right? Yeah. And then there's Pavana and Pariyata here. There's 1, 2, and 5 and 6 there. On the southern side of Sumeru are two mountains named Kailas and Karavira, which extend east and west for 18,000 yojanas. There's Kailas, and then there's Karavira there at the bottom. which extend east and west for 18,000 yojanas. And on the northern side of Sumeru, extending for the same distance, east and west, are two mountains named Trishinga and Makara. They're at the top. The width and height of all these mountains is 2,000 yojanas, 16,000 miles. Sumeru, a mountain of solid gold shining as brilliantly as a fire, is surrounded by these 8 mountains. Meror Murdhani Bhagavata Atma Yoner Madhyata Upakliptam Purim Ayuta Yojana Sahasrim Sama Chaturasram Shatakombhim Vadanti. In the middle of the summit of Meru is the township of Lord Brahma. Each of its 4 sides is calculated to extend for 10 million yojanas, 80 million miles. It is made entirely of gold, and therefore learned scholars and sages call it Shatakombhi. Let's see the city at the top of, there it is. There's the top of Sumeru mountain, and there's the city of Brahma. Alright. In the middle of the summit of Meru is the township of Lord Brahma. Each of its 4 sides is calculated to extend for 10 million yojanas. We just read this. It is made entirely of gold, and it therefore learned scholars call it Shatakombhi. Tam anuparito lokapalanam ashtanam yatadisham yatarupam turiya manena puroshtav upaklipta. Surrounding Brahmapuri in all directions are the residents of the 8 principal governors of the planetary systems, beginning with King Indra. These abodes are similar to Brahmapuri, but are 1/4 the size. See, there are all the townships, the 8 townships. Varuna, Niriti, Yama, Agni, Indra, Shiva, Kubera, Vayu. Purport. Oops. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms that the townships of Lord Brahma and the 8 subordinate governors of the planetary systems, beginning with Indra, are mentioned in other Puranas. Mero Nava Purani Sur Manovatyamravati Tejavati Samyamani Tata Krishnangana Para Shraddhavati Gandhavati Tata Chanya Mahodaya Yashavati Cha Brahmendra Bahyadinam Yata Kramam. Brahma's township is known as Manuvati, and those of his assistants, such as Indra and Agni, are known as Amravati, Tejavati, Sangyamani, Krishnangana, Shraddhavati, Gandhavati, Mahodaya, and Yashavati. Brahmapuri is situated in the middle, and the other 8 puris surround it in all directions. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 5th canto, 16th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled A Description of Jambudvip. Next chapter. What are we reading to? The descent of the river Ganges. Okay. Let me just look at what verse we're reading up to. Reading up to verse 10. Okay, so this first section, the descent, glories, and path of the Ganga. And we'll read this. Ganga's path, the causal ocean, Dhruvaloka, Saptarishi planets, moon, atop Mount Sumeru, and divides into 4 branches. Okay. Just seeing the okay, I was just looking at the comments, sorry. Okay, let's go back to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Chapter 17, the descent of the river Ganges. The 17th chapter describes the origin of the Ganges River and how it flows in and around Ilāvṛta-varṣa. There is also a description of the prayers of Lord Shiva. There is also a description of the prayers Lord Shiva offers to Lord Sankarshan, a part of the quadruple expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Vishnu once approached Bali Maharaj while the king was performing a sacrifice. The Lord appeared before him as Trivikram, or Vaman, and begged alms from the king in the form of 3 steps of land. With 2 steps, Lord Vaman covered all 3 planetary systems and pierced the covering of the universe with the toes of his left foot. A few drops of water from the causal ocean leaked through this hole and fell onto the head of Lord Shiva, where they remained for 1,000 millenniums. These drops of water are the sacred Ganges River. It first flows onto the heavenly planets, which are located on the soles of Lord Vishnu's feet. The Ganges River is known by many names, such as the Bhagirathi and the Jahnavi. It purifies Dhruva-loka and the planets of the 7 sages, because both the Dhruva and the sages have no other desire than to serve the Lord's lotus feet. The Ganges River, emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, inundates the heavenly planets, especially the moon, and then flows through Brahmapuri atop Mount Meru. Here the river divides into 4 branches, known as Sita, Alakananda, Chakshu, and Bhadra, which then flow down to the ocean of salt water. The branch known as Sita flows through the Shekhar Parvat and the Gandhamadan Parvat, and then flows down to Bhadrashva-varṣa, where it mixes with the ocean of salt water in the west. The Chakshu branch flows through the Malyavangiri, and after reaching Ketumala-varṣa, mixes with the ocean of salt water in the west. The branch known as Bhadra flows onto Mount Meru, Mount Kumura, and the Nila, Shveta, and Shringavan mountains before it reaches Kurudesh, where it flows into the ocean of salt water in the north. The Alakananda branch flows through the Brahmalaya, crosses over many mountains including Himakuta and Himakuta, and then reaches Bharatvarsh, where it flows into the southern side of the ocean of salt water. That's where we are, right? Many other rivers and their branches flow through the 9 varshas. The tract of land known as Bharatvarsh is the field of activities, and the other 8 varshas are for persons who are meant to enjoy heavenly comfort. In each of these 8 beautiful provinces, the celestial denizens enjoy various standards of material comfort and pleasure. A different incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead distributes his mercy in each of the 9 varshas of Jambudvip. In the Ilāvṛta-varṣa, Lord Shiva is the only male. There he lives with his wife, Bhavani, who is attended by many maidservants. If any other male enters that province, Bhavani curses him to become a woman. Lord Shiva worships Lord Sankarshan by offering various prayers, one of which is as follows. My dear Lord, please liberate all your devotees for material life and bind all the non-devotees to the material world. Without your mercy, no one can be released from the bondage of material existence. Right. Text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha. I might not be able to read to 10 today because I took like half an hour to read the summary, my God. Okay. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Tatra Bhagavata Shakshad Yagya Lingasya Vishnur Vikramato Vama Padangushta Naka Nirbhinordvanta Kataha Vivarenanta Pravishta Yabahya Jala Dhara Tacharana Pankajavane Janaruna Kinjal Ko Paranjita Kila Jagar Aga Malapaho Sparshanamala. God, I'm having a hard time reading. Shakshad Bhagavat Padityanu-palakshita Vacho Vidhyamanati Mahata Kalena Yuga Sahasro Palakshinena Divo Murdhanyavatara Yat Tar Vishnu Padam Ahu. Shukadeva Goswami said, My dear king, Lord Vishnu, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, appeared as Vamandev in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj. Then he extended his left foot to the ends of the universe and pierced a hole in its covering with the nail of his big toe. Through the hole, the pure water of the causal ocean entered this universe as the Ganges River. Having washed the lotus feet of the Lord, which are covered with reddish powder, the water of the Ganges acquired a very beautiful pink color. Every living being can immediately purify his mind of material contamination by touching the transcendental water of the Ganges. Yet its waters remain ever pure. Because the Ganges directly touches the lotus feet of the Lord before descending within this universe, she is known as Vishnu Padi. Later, she received other names like Janavi and Bhagirati. After 1,000 millenniums, the water of the Ganges descended on Dhruvaloka, the topmost planet in this universe. Therefore, all learned sages and scholars proclaim Dhruvaloka to be Vishnupada, situated on Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, Shukadev Goswami describes the glories of the Ganges River. The water of the Ganges is called Patita Pavani, the deliverer of all sinful living beings. It is a proven fact that a person who regularly bathes in the Ganges is purified both externally and internally. Externally, his body becomes immune to all kinds of disease, and internally, he gradually develops a devotional attitude toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Throughout India, many thousands of people live on the banks of the Ganges, and by regularly bathing in her waters, they are undoubtedly being purified both spiritually and materially. Many sages, including Shankaracharya, have composed prayers in praise of the Ganges. And the land of India itself has become glorious because such rivers as the Ganges, Yamuna, Godavari, Kaveri, Krishna, and Narmada flow there. Anyone living on the land adjacent to these rivers is naturally advanced in spiritual consciousness. Srila Madhvacharya says, Varahe Vama Padam Tu Tar Anyeshu Tudakshinam Padam Kalpeshu Bhagavan Ujjahara Trivikrama. Standing on his right foot and extending his left to the edge of the universe, Lord Vaman became known as Trivikram. Trivikram, the incarnation who performed 3 heroic deeds. Sorry, guys. Let me drink some water. Text 2. Yatra havava vira vrata otanapadi parama bhagavato smat kula devata charanaravinddodakam iti yam anusavanam utkrishyamana bhagavar bhakti yogena dridham klidyamanantar hridaya utkantya vivashamilita lochana yugala kudmala vigalitamala bhashpa kalayabhivyajyamana roma pulaka kulako dhunapi paramartarena shirasa bibharti. Dhruva Maharaj, the famous son of Maharaj Uttanapad, is known as the most exalted devotee of the Supreme Lord because of his firm determination in executing devotional service. Knowing that the sacred Ganges water washes the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, Dhruva Maharaj, situated on his own planet, to this very day, accepts that water on his head with great devotion. Because he constantly thinks of Krishna very devoutly within the core of his heart, he is overcome with ecstatic anxiety. Tears flow from his half-open eyes, and eruptions appear on his entire body. Purport. When a person is firmly fixed in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is described as Vira-Vrata, fully determined. Such a devotee increases his ecstasy in devotional service more and more. Thus, as soon as he remembers Lord Vishnu, his eyes fill with tears. This is a symptom of a Mahabhagavat. Dhruva Maharaj maintained himself in that devotional ecstasy, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave us a practical example of transcendental ecstasy when he lived at Jagannath Puri. His pastimes there are fully narrated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Tata sapta rishayas tat prabhava bhikya yam nanu tapasa atyantiki siddhir etavati bhagavati sarvatmani vasudeve nu parata bhakti yoga labhinai vopekshitanyartatma gatayo muktim ivagatam mamukshava iva sabahu manam adyapi jata jutar advahanti. The 7 great sages, Marichi, Vashishta, Atri, and so on, reside on planets beneath Dhruvaloka. Well aware of the influence of the water of the Ganges, to this day they keep the Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their heads. They have concluded that this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. Having obtained uninterrupted devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they neglect all other beneficial processes like religion, economic development, sense gratification, and even merging into the Supreme. Just as Gyanis think that merging into the existence of the Lord is the highest truth, these 7 exalted personalities accept devotional service as the perfection of life. Purport. Transcendentalists are divided into 2 primary groups, the Nirvisheshvadis, or impersonalists, and the Bhaktas, or devotees. The impersonalists do not accept spiritual varieties of life. They want to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord and his Brahman feature, the Brahmajyoti. The devotees, however, desire to take part in the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. In the upper planetary system, the topmost planet is Dhruvaloka, and beneath Dhruvaloka are the 7 planets occupied by the great sages, beginning with Maricha, Vashishta, and Atri. All these sages regard devotional service as the highest perfection of life. Therefore, they all carry the holy water of the Ganges on their head. This verse proves that for one who has achieved the platform of pure devotional service, nothing else is important, even so-called liberation, Kaivalya. Srila Sridhar Swami states that only by achieving pure devotional service of the Lord can one give up all other engagements as insignificant. Prabodhananda Saraswati confirms his statement as follows. Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapur akasha pushpayate durdattendriyakala sarpa patali pradkata dangshayate. Oh, this is Shara Goswami Ashtakam. Vishvam purna sukayate vidimahendra dishchakitayate yat karunya kataksha vaibhavatam tam gaurameva stuma. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has perfectly enunciated and broadcast the process of bhakti yoga. Consequently, for one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the highest perfection of the Mayavadis, Kaivalya, or becoming one with the Supreme, is considered hellish, to say nothing of the karmi's aspiration to be promoted to the heavenly planets. Devotees consider such goals to be worthless phantasmagoria. There are also yogis who try to control their senses, but they can never succeed without coming to the stage of devotional service. The senses are compared to poisonous snakes, but the senses of a bhakta engaged in the service of the Lord are like snakes with their poisonous fangs removed. The yogi tries to surpass his senses, but even great mystics like Vishwamitra fail in the attempt. Vishwamitra was conquered by his senses when he was captivated by Menaka during his meditation. She later gave birth to Shakuntala, that's the name of my sister. The wisest persons in the world, therefore, are the bhakti yogis, as Lord Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 6:47. Yogi nam apisarvesham margatayenantaratmana shadavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me and transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Tato neka sahasra koti vimananika Sankula Deva Yane Navatar Atindu Mandalam Avarya Brahma Sadane Nipatati. After purifying the 7 planets near Dhruvaloka, the pole star, the Ganges water is carried through the spaceways of the demigods in billions of celestial airplanes. Then it inundates the moon, Chandraloka, and finally reaches Lord Brahma's abode atop Mount Meru. Purport: we should always remember that the Ganges river comes from the causal ocean, beyond the covering of the universe. After the water of the causal ocean leaks through the hole created by Lord Vamandev, it flows down to Dhruvaloka, the pole star, and then to the 7 planets beneath Dhruvaloka. Then it is carried to the moon by innumerable celestial airplanes, and then it falls to the top of Mount Meru, which is known as Sumeru Parvat. In this way, the water of the Ganges finally reaches the lower planets and the peaks of the Himalayas, and from there it flows through Haridwar and throughout the plains of India, purifying the entire land. How the Ganges water reaches the various planets from the top of the universe is explained herein. Celestial airplanes carry the water from the planets of the sages to other planets. So-called advanced scientists of the modern age are trying to go to the higher planets, but at the same time, they are experiencing a power shortage on Earth. If they were actually capable scientists, they could personally go by airplane to other planets, but they are unable to do. Having now given up their moon exertions, they are attempting to go to other planets, but without success. Tatra chaturda vidyamana chaturbhir namabhish chaturdisham abhispandanti nada nadi patim eva bhini vishati Sita alakananda, chakshur badreti. On top of Mount Meru, the Ganges divides into 4 branches, each of which gushes in a different direction: east, west, north, and south. These branches, known by the name Sita, Alakananda, Chakshu, and Bhadra, flow down to the ocean. All right. I just want to see this picture here. There it is. Anyways, I'm just going to continue reading because I don't want to. It's already almost time to finish. We haven't reached anywhere. Got her behind today. Okay. Sita tu Brahma Sadanat Kesarachaladi Giri Shikarebhyo Dodhya Prasravanti Gandhamadan Murdhasu Patitvantarena Bhadrashva Varsham Prachyam Dishikshara Samudram Abhipravishati. The branch of the Ganges known as the Sita flows through Brahmapuri atop Mount Meru, and from there it runs down to the nearby peaks of the Kesarachal mountains, which stand almost as high as Mount Meru itself. These mountains are like a bunch of filaments around Mount Meru. From the Kesarachal mountains, the Ganges falls to the peak of the Gandhamadan mountain and then flows into the land of Bhadrashva-varṣa. Finally, it reaches the ocean of salt water in the west. Evam malyavach chikaran nishpatanti tato nu parata vega ketu malam abhichakshu pratichyam dishi sarit patim pravishyati. The branch of the Ganges known as Chakshu falls onto the summit of Malyavan mountain, and from there cascades into the land of Ketu Malavarsha. The Ganges flows incessantly through Ketumala-varsha, and in this way also reaches the ocean of salt water in the west. Bhadra chotarato meru shiraso nipatita giri shikarad giri shikaram atihaya shringavata shringar avasyandamana uttarangstu kurum abhita udicyan dishi jaladim abhipravishati. The branch of the Ganges known as Bhadra flows from the northern side of Mount Meru. Its waters falls onto the peaks of Kumura Mountain, Mount Nila, Shweta Mountain, and Shringavan Mountain in succession. Then it runs down into the province of Kuru and, after crossing through that land, flows into the saltwater ocean in the north. And as you can see, there's a chart here, but we'll look at the chart tomorrow. Yeah. There, that's a better chart. So it flows down from the top of Mount Sumeru and it goes all these ways. Okay. Tatai Valakananda Dakshinena Brahma Sadanad Bahuni Giri Kutanyatikramya Hema Kutad Dhai Makutanya Ati Rabhasatara Ranghasa Lutayanti Bharatam Abhivarsham Dakshinasyam Dishi Jaladim Abhipravishati Yasyam Snanartam Chagachata Pungsa Pade Pade Shvamedha Rajasuyadinam Phalam Na Durlabam Iti. Similarly, the branch of the Ganges known as Alakananda flows from the southern side of Brahmapuri, Brahmasadan. Passing over the tops of mountains in various lands, it falls down with fierce force upon the peaks of the mountains Hemakuta and Himakuta. After inundating the tops of those mountains, the Ganges falls down onto the tract of land known as Ilāvṛta-varṣa, which she also inundates. Then the Ganges flows into the ocean of salt water in the south. Persons who come to bathe in this river are fortunate. It is not very difficult for them to achieve with every step the results of performing great sacrifices like the Rajasurya and Ashwamedha yagyas. Okay, I'm just going to finish because I just turned 8 o'clock, but this is going to take just a couple minutes to read. Purport. The place where the Ganges flows into the salt water of the Bay of Bengal is still known as Ganga Sagar, or the meeting place of the Ganges and the Bay of Bengal. I've been there. On Makar Sankranti in the month of January-February, thousands of people still go there to bathe, hoping to be liberated. That they can actually be liberated in this way is confirmed herein. For those who bathe in the Ganges at any time, the results of great sacrifices like the Ashwamedha and Rajasurya yagyas are not at all difficult to achieve. Most people in India are still inclined to bathe in the Ganges, and there are many places where they can do so. At Prayag, Allahabad, many thousands of people gather during the month of January to bathe in the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna. Afterward, many of them go to the confluence of the Bay of Bengal and the Ganges to take bath there. Thus, it is a special facility for all the people of India that they can bathe in the water of the Ganges at so many places of pilgrimage. Anye cha nada nadyash cha varshe santi bahusho mervadi giri duhitara shatasha. Many other rivers, both big and small, flow from the top of Mount Meru. These rivers are like the daughters of the mountain, and they flow to the various tracts of land in hundreds of branches. Only 2 minutes overtime. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gokshara Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dashaghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gopal Shada Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाति गिरिराज महाराज की जय श्री राधा कुंड श्यामा कुंड की जय श्री मोन देवी गंगा देवी की जय श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय श्री भक्ति देवी की जय श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल All right. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Oh, I didn't do Tulsi. I'm so spaced out, guys. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. Vindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Krishna Kashacha Krishna Bhakti Paradevi Sattvatai Namo Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Alright, Dandavat Pranams. Okay, Pradyumna is going to do more reading from his books. Alright. Thanks, Mantramurti Mataji. Yeah, I am feeling better physically. My mind sometimes gets a bit spacey, as you can tell. But, alright, Haribol, see you all tomorrow. Dandavat Pranams, everybody.